Hey YouTube, Kent here from Think Trade Profit. Welcome back to the channel. In this video I want to talk about a pre-market watch list and how you can create one that's just as good as the pros or maybe your favorite guru, so you don't have to wait for them to call out the hot stocks. So you can be prepared ahead of time before the market's open, and basically you're going to use a completely free tool. It's pretty much the best scanner out there. So you may have your favorites already, but give me a few minutes, let me introduce you to this. And I guarantee you it'll improve your pre-market preparation and hopefully help you make more money. So let's jump into it. So when setting up your trading plan for the day and what you're going to trade and what stocks you're looking at, the general consensus is, at least for intraday trading and even swing trading to get really good entries, is you want to get stocks that are in play. They have a catalyst, they have unusual volume or news, or they're gapping up or gapping down. So for the stocks that I like to trade, I look for at least a gap of at least 3% in either direction. So gap up 3% or gap down 3%. Unusual volume, it should be at least 2 to 3 times the normal volume. So that shows that there's institutional interest. This is happening early in the morning, pre-market. There's a chance that it's going to be one of the hottest stocks of the day. So how do you find them? Well, you could have a filter or a think script if you're on TD Ameritrade and thinkorswim. Fidelity, we have filters and that kind of thing. One of the problems with some of that is we don't get pre-market volume. I know in Fidelity for our filters, it doesn't show us volume pre-market. So it's a little bit harder to figure out which is the most active, which are going to be the hottest. So what I want to introduce you to is Trade Ideas, and you may have heard of it, maybe you've even looked at it before, but give me a few minutes to kind of reintroduce you to, this is pretty much the premier market scanner, and it does come with a cost. It's very expensive. The subscriptions run monthly and yearly, and you can save some money. What we're going to do is use Trade Ideas, but the free version, to build our pre-market watch list. So I'm going to take you through a couple different steps. What I want you to do, if you've never looked at Trade Ideas before, it can be a little bit overwhelming if there is a download for a desktop application and there's this Trade Ideas for the web. I want you to start with Trade Ideas for the web. I made the mistake of downloading the software, installing it, and using it. In my first look at it, I understood what was going on, but it really didn't grab me. There was so much configuration. I really didn't have an organization that worked for me, and I kind of just let it go. I dismissed it. I said, well, that was interesting, but I never really used it. But recently I looked at Trade Ideas for the web, and you can log into Trade Ideas from the web with just your Gmail account, so you can log in just like you are watching this video. So it's going to look something like this. You log in using Google, accept the agreement, and you're going to be in Trade Ideas. So don't be put off by kind of this antiquated looking display and that kind of thing. There's a lot of power here, and I just want to introduce you to this first before we look at the desktop application. The desktop application is a lot better, but it doesn't spoon feed you so much, so it can be a little bit overwhelming and you're not going to necessarily know how to configure it. So that's what I want to help you with. So if it's your first time going into Trade Ideas, one thing you'll notice is this web application, it's a little bit laggy. And as you try to do things like configure and pop out, it's going to be really slow. Don't let that put you off. We're not going to use this forever. Again, this is just the introduction. And the reason this is so good is because they have things broken up into all these different choices on the side. So if you're looking at pre-market and you're looking at the free version, not everything's going to be available to you, but feel free to poke around. What I want you to focus on is the pre-market selection, the volume selection, where are we? The volume selection, and then gainers and losers. We're going to stick with that, but as you go in and play around, feel free to poke around at everything. So what I've learned is once I played around with the web application, I got a lot more comfortable with how the information is presented and how it's configured. Then I jump into the desktop application and configure it the way I want to. You know, what kind of stocks do I like to see? What kind of volume in my stocks do I like to see? What kind of price in my stocks do I like to see? So I'm going to take you through all that. But if it's your first look around, take a look at some of these things. This was the biggest losers. Let's go into pre-market. And again, these are kind of crunched up, and again, you can look at this really early in the morning. It is delayed. So the thing with the free thing is it is delayed, and it'll tell you where this information is coming from, what time frame. So you can see it here in upgappers. It's giving you information from 2:32, which is about 20 minutes ago. But it doesn't matter. In the pre-market, if you get an early start on the day, you sit down at 8:30, you're going to start getting information that happened after 8 a.m. And that's really what counts for kind of that morning or this morning. You're going to start to see the biggest gappers, the stocks that are trading the most volume, and that's where you can begin to kind of construct your watch lists. So let's go to, say, up gappers, down gappers. I'm going to show you this, and again, this is really laggy. Don't panic. But you can pop out these windows and you can move them around. Let's see how well this works. And you can build your own display. Again, we're not going to use this permanently, so don't freak out about how bad this is. I just want to get you comfortable with looking at the information. So this is one of the windows. This is the down gappers, and if you were looking at this really in the morning, it would have it sorted this way, so you'd have the biggest gap percentage. So it's very handy across all the markets. The way you configure these is up here in the upper right, and you've got this menu and it says configure. And now don't worry about this. This is kind of all the different lists and stuff that are available. Go over here, and these are different ways to configure this list. So you can put a minimum price. Any of these that you click on will open up pretty much all the selections. So that's what you do. So now let's say you're interested in lower price stocks. You have a smaller account, you want to trade something $1 to $9. You don't have a bunch of money in there. So we could put that in there. So now we want stocks price $1 to $9, average daily volume of 100,000 shares or more. And this is min and max, you see here on the left and the right. And there's all kinds of things you can, but let's go ahead and let's make this change. Simply just making that change and hitting OK and bouncing through, now you're going to get a list, and all these stocks are just going to be between $1 and $9. So that may be, and they're sorted by gap percentage and gap dollar. So now that might help you out when you're looking for those. These are down gappers. Maybe you're looking for something to short. You could do an up gapper. Let's bounce back. So let's take a look at the up gappers. So that's this window here. We're going to do configure and pop out. Now it's kind of over here to play with. Just going to drag it over here for now. And again, any of these selections will get you into the configuration. So now I'm going to say $1 to $9. Maybe you like stocks that trade at least 500,000 shares. Volume today, I would suggest leaving that low because again, you're looking at stocks in pre-market and you don't necessarily know what is a high volume for whatever stock you pick that early in the morning. So make those selections and it will sort by that, and that just updated. It's a little bit over here again, but that's up gappers. So you get it. That's how you kind of configure these. So now we got stocks $1 through $9, gapped up this much, and gapped up that much percentage. So once you start looking at volume over here, so here's volume of today's shares, you'll get a better idea of what's going to be hot for today. The thing that isn't here that's really, really, really valuable is relative volume. So relative volume is, especially for the pre-market, very powerful. If you can see something that's trading 2, 3, 4, 10 times its normal volume in the pre-market, you know that there's institutional interest. You know everybody's going to be looking at that stock today. And that's something I'll send out to everybody watching this video. If you know of free relative volume in the pre-market anywhere on the web, let me know. Let everybody know. It would be very valuable. Nonetheless, Trade Ideas does have RVOL, but you're not going to get it till after the market open. But right now I can't find any free source of relative volume in the pre-market. I've looked at every scanner, FinViz, Market Chameleon, all of them. And that's the thing that not everybody manages and tracks because it's very finicky. It's per segment in time in the pre-market over the, say, past 20 days. But that would be very powerful. That would give you almost an extra edge over everybody who's not paying for Trade Ideas. But nonetheless, this is a really great place to start. You're going to see the hottest stocks early in the morning. You can start adding these to your watch list. So let's take a couple off here. So we got SON, ADMA. Let me move this off to the side. So in Active Trader Pro, you just pop them in your watch list. Song, BDMA, we'll take EXPR, and how about PSLW? And you can make some thumbnails. If you have VWAP configured in Fidelity Active Trader Pro, you're going to have that right there for you, so you don't have to go digging for it. And you could have any kind of layout you want, but this is really the way to get started, is using trade ideas. So I think you guys get the picture. It really is powerful. Even the free version is really incredible. And that's what kind of I came back around to. I didn't want anyone to miss out using this because it's really amazing. So with that, let's jump over to the desktop app. So you don't have to worry about how laggy this is. You can download the desktop app. It's free as well. And I'm going to drag it over here for you. This is what I have configured. So these are my settings, and I'm going to run you through it. I'm basically interested in down gappers and up gappers. I like to short things, so I'll short even the up gappers depending on the situation. But now the market's been open. This is obviously the afternoon, but now you've got relative volume, and that's what I was talking about earlier. This isn't going to show up in your pre-market, unfortunately. It's not free, but this is really powerful stuff. High relative volume plus a gap indicates there's some news or some catalyst, either earnings, a news event, a new product, market share, a government investigation. All of those things have can have a great effect on the stock price and really put these stocks in play, and that's what you're looking for early in the morning. So I'll show you my settings for these down gappers and up gappers. When you're using this, the lists are up in here. So you go new and you can do new top lists. And this is kind of what you saw in the web app, but there's a lot. Like I said, this is going to be really overwhelming at first, but go and play around. You can look at volume leaders. You can look at things in range. There's a lot of power here. Here's the gaps, up gappers, down gappers. What I did is I popped open the up gappers and I configured them my way, the way I like, and I'll show you how that is. So if you go into one of these windows, which you can start, again, go to top list. It's probably the easiest place to start, and do like volume leaders and hit next and just pop it open with what they have, and it'll pop open a new window. That's how I got these. But the way you configure them is right click in here, just right click in the window and configure, and now go to advanced. So I just picked my down gappers window, and again, we saw this before. Take any of these elements, just click on one, and what it does is it opens up everything that's configurable. So in this case, you can see basically the changes I made here were I was only interested in stocks that were $10 to $99, an average daily volume of at least 100,000 shares. The reason I picked that is things over $100, it starts to get really a lot more algorithmic competition. This is just my feeling, but once you get in the hundreds, 200s, there's a lot more algo, a lot more interest that way, and something somewhere between 20 and 80 is really great. They're not always highly watched, but if they're going to be in a day where there's news and they're heavily in play, they create really good trading opportunities. But that's how you can configure these. I can change this to 50, hit OK, and hit OK. And now this list will be configured with the gaps and such I had for $10 to $50. But that's really what I wanted to introduce you to. This is really powerful, even as a free tool. If you're willing to get up an hour before the market opens, play around and get comfortable with what you're searching for. What kind of stocks do you want? You may not trade the same stocks that Ross Cameron does, right? Ross Cameron uses trade ideas. S&P Capital uses trade ideas. Live traders, they use the same idea. He looks for big gappers in price, but there's so much free power here early in the morning. Even if it is 20 minutes delayed, you're going to be able to get a jump on the hot stocks early in the morning, even without relative volume. You're going to see the volume and these huge gappers, and then you can add them to your list and start kind of watching them and see what's going to suit you. And you can keep an eye on them with some thumbnails. But that's really it. That's what I wanted to share with you. Trade Ideas, the free version. Once you get comfortable with the desktop app, it's powerful. It's worth it. It's worth getting acquainted with and looking at all they have to offer. There's so much here. Even though it's delayed, it's going to put you in the hottest stocks. It's going to put you in the stocks that are in play, and you have a greater chance of better liquidity, big moves. And there's a lot of weekends out there too. Honestly, you get in some of these stocks where everybody's in them, you get some amazing fills. I've gotten some short fills that I thought were great just because I would go a decent spread and I would sit on the offer and someone would take me out, and I didn't think it was a very good spot for them, but I get some great fills. So this is where you start. Trade Ideas free version. So I hope that helps. If you're new, please support the channel, subscribe. Many of you, maybe you already use this, or maybe you already pay for it. I think I think it's definitely worth probably paying for. There's a lot more things they have in that are available in the paid version. But get yourself acquainted first. Why not take advantage of all this free data? They get started early. It's only 20 minutes delayed. You're going to have a great jump in the pre-market. You're not going to have to wait for your guru to shout out a stock for you to trade. You're going to already have an idea. And when they do shout out a stock, you'll probably already have it on your list. And that's really what I wanted to share with everybody, to make you a little bit more self-sufficient, so you don't have to kind of troll the boards and look and see what everybody else is trading. You can find the hottest stocks yourself. You just got to spend a little time getting comfortable with Trade Ideas in the free version. So with that, I'm going to let you guys get to it. You've got a little bit of homework before the market opens. Go poke around in Trade Ideas, get the desktop app downloaded, start playing with the configurations, and let me know what you think. Again, I put the challenge out there to anybody. If you can find free RVOL information, even if I have to look them up for stocks individually, I'd really be interested. Free relative volume in the pre-market would be very, very, very powerful. But with that, I'm going to let you guys go. Be careful out there. As always, play good defense, protect your profits, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much.